Welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast with your hosts, the Brothers Newland. Now, let's talk toys.
And hello, everybody. I am Ghostbusting Michael.
I'm John.
See, it throws you off. And I'm Andrew. And, welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast. By the way, Michael, I don't know if you noticed, I tried to give you a cue there as to when that
I think we both did.
Oh, I didn't have your picture. I didn't have the video up on that.
I tried to give you a cue, but I guess you couldn't see it. So, all right. Well, welcome to the Toy Rewind Podcast. This is a podcast where the three of us we look back at toy lines from our childhood and we talk about the history and we learn a little lesson about how those toys were made and ended up in all of our households. This week, we are rewinding back to 1986 to talk about Ghostbusters, but not the Ghostbusters you think we're talking about, unless you saw the cover on the podcast and you read the name of the podcast, then you probably know we're talking about Filmation's Ghostbusters. We're going to talk about this one, about how they are the real Ghostbusters and not the real Ghostbusters, but the real Ghostbusters and lots of stuff. But this toy line released by it's Schaper.
Yep.
Schaper. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's going to be, I think it was a good year for them in 1986. So before we get into talking about those Ghostbusters, John, can you tell everybody where they can find us?
Sure can. All right. So check our website out at toyrewindpodcast.com. You can also look us up on crossthetreamsmedia.com. You can email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch is all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube is Toy Rewind Podcast. We do stream our toy box showcases when we do them to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I think we've got a lot set up to do some. We just need a little bit more time to do them somehow. I know Michael's got several items, so he may have to be doing bits here and there to get some of those opened up eventually.
I may have time next week.
I was about to say, he's got to find time to do them too.
There may be one or two.
I mean,
week.
Time is
Of the
very
essence.
little right now. Check out our podcast bingo at podcastbingo.com/toy rewind and play along with that. Let us know if you get a bingo. And of course, always watch out for when we decide or get a chance to do, or not decide to do one, when we finally get one set up and have time to do a collector showcase with our friends and partners over at the Geek Together channel.
John can't talk tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, so be sure you're following all those. Lots of good stuff over there. Just another mention about the website, toyrewindpodcast.com. You can see our toy rankings there. I don't know if that's in your notes there. You can see our toy rankings. So all the toy lines we've talked about, we rank them once we've talked about it and tell you how we think they kind of fit within our top whatever. And when we hit, what is the number, 32, Michael?
32?
I think it's 32. We put those all into a bracket and then let you, the listeners, vote on which is the best toy line. So we did the first 32, which I think we started around episode 35 because we had a couple that really didn't fit into it, like the McDonald's toys. It's because they're decades, so they are a few years here and there. So they don't really fit into the bracket. But once we got that, and the Turtles, the Playmates line from the late 80s, and early 90s is what became the number one, what everybody liked about the number one. We are getting dangerously close to doing another bracket.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Which is why I bring it up, because I want to talk about that. We're going to get close. We're going to do another bracket. These Ghostbusters will be in it. It'll be awesome. Lots of good stuff. I can probably already tell you, I think the Nintendo Entertainment System is probably going to win out. But we'll see. Maybe Hot Wheels will give them a run for their money. So, all right. Well, let's jump into this. Let's talk about these Ghostbusters because I think they have a pretty good history and everything. So we got a lot to talk about there. So, are you ready, Michael?
Let's go. Rewind.
All right. Let's rewind and get into it.
All right. So, like Andrew said, this came out in 1986.
Sorry, Michael.
And I don't know. I missed whatever. I was looking at my notes when y'all did whatever.
I made a better sound for you. Rewind sound.
It did. It sounded better. Yeah.
And I get no response from you.
You just.
Well, I was making sure I was at right spot on my notes. So.
All right. We'll
focused on the
go.
notes.
Get into it, Professor.
Okay. So this line came out in 1986 by Schaper, but it relates to 1975. So Filmation's Ghostbusters.
Wait, do we need to rewind again?
No, we're good.
Oh, okay.
Do a double rewind.
Well, I mean, we rewinded to 86. Do we need to rewind all the way back to 75?
No, I think we'll be all right.
Oh, okay.
So 1975, Filmation's Ghostbusters actually started as a live TV show. It was two guys and a gorilla that went and busting ghosts. And the stories are similar to like a Scooby-Doo type story. Kind of crazy and antics, stuff like that. It's just, and you got a guy dressed up in a gorilla suit. So it's kind of, and the two guys in there, they're wearing like 1930s type get up, 1940s type style clothes is what it seems like. So, so back in 1984, when Columbia Pictures decided to make a movie about three guys that are into paranormal activity type stuff, they needed a movie, and so they wanted to call it Ghostbusters. So they hit up Filmation and say, "Hey, we want to use this name because Filmation had the title Ghostbusters." And Filmation said, "Okay, we'll lease it to you. If we get, we'll lease it to you for like I think it was like $600,000, a little over $500,000. Yeah." And then 1% of the profits is what Filmation was going to get from Columbia from the original Ghostbusters movie. But with the success of the movie, Columbia wanted to do a toy line and have a cartoon series to promote the toy lines because, like we said in episode 13 about the real Ghostbusters, that's what they did back in the 80s is do a cartoon to promote the toy line. Yeah, so that's what they did. Filmation wanted to do the same thing since it was such a good thing. They actually wanted to do a toy line and a cartoon as well, since Ghostbusters was actually theirs, their name, their idea. So they pitched the idea to Columbia, but Columbia shot it down. Told Filmation that there was no profits from the movie, and pretty much suckered Filmation because Filmation got nothing out of that.
Yeah,
but they got the $608,000, $500,000, and that was all they got out of the whole deal. But Filmation decided to do the toy line anyway, and based it on their 1975 TV series. So the cartoon Filmation's cartoon actually debuted a week before Columbia's The Real Ghostbusters came out. So, and to keep it from being sounding the same thing, Columbia put real in front of theirs. So they're the real Ghostbusters, whereas Filmation is just the Ghostbusters.
Actually, the cartoon's just Ghostbusters, but yeah.
Does it say Ghostbusters?
Yeah, the TV show from the 75 is the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And then the cartoon just went under Ghostbusters.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. Okay. So they were competing against each other, and with the success of the movie, everybody knew, all the kids knew who the Ghostbusters were, and that's what they tended to go swing over to the real Ghostbusters side of things, with Slimer and all that kind of stuff. So they Filmation's Ghostbusters did not last very long at all. And then the cartoon was a 65 episode because you had to have 65 episodes back then to be in syndication. So they had a 65 episode cartoon series, and then this one line of toys that was just one series, and that was it. So But they had to have a company to produce these toys. So best known for hits of Cootie, Ants in the Pants, and Don't Break the Ice.
I mean,
this company, yeah.
Why wouldn't you go with anybody else, right? I mean,
yeah, and it's mostly games. They didn't have much toys that they did, but Schaper was the toy company they picked to do this toy line, simply because the bigger toy companies who Filmation had collaborated with other toy cartoon lines such as Motu with Mattel and then Black Star with Galoob. They were all these other, like Mattel and Galoob, they were afraid to do this line because they didn't want to get sued by Kenner, who was doing the real Ghostbusters line. So they found Schaper. Schaper said, "Yeah, sure, we'll do it. We're not afraid of the ghosts, not afraid of the." So they picked it up. So Schaper, and then that exact same year that they started this in 1986, TYCO actually bought Schaper, and so some of these toys, some of this line, it'll say Schaper on there, or it'll say TYCO on there. You can find them with both names on them.
Yeah, I was about to say, I actually saw a couple boxes that had one box that had both names, just depending on what part it was. So yeah,
because they were in that transition from Schaper to TYCO, so you can find them with both of them on there. And like we said before, TYCO eventually got bought in 1997 by Mattel. So, so I guess you can kind of say this is also a Mattel line. But
so who owns it now? Who owns the whole thing now? Is it Mattel?
The Mattel should, I would think, but I don't know the rights to. I don't know the rights to it now. Who would have it? So, So, like I said, it's short-lived due to the success of the real Ghostbusters, and with most being a lot of this toy line was also shipped over to Europe. So it's kind of a tough line to find if you try to complete it. There was 12 figures, 4 vehicles, and 1 playset that was released. Like I said, the figures can either be found with Schaper or TYCO markings, since TYCO bought Schaper that same year. The figures looked amazingly like the cartoon versions and came with a comic book that is a condensed storyline from the first 5 episodes of the cartoon. So some of the characters that are in that were made into the toy line, you had Jake Kong Jr., and then Eddie Spencer Jr. You had Tracy, who was the gorilla. Jessica, who is a news reporter that followed them around and did news reports from them busting ghosts. Futura, which is actually a Ghostbusters from the future that comes back to the past to help them out. Then you have the bad guys. You had Prime Evil, Mysteria, Scared Stiff, Haunter, Fib Face, Fangster, and then you had Batarat, and then you had Belfry, which is actually which is a bat for the good guys. So
the names. So I like to do this every once in a while. Let's talk about the names. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of craziness with the good guys' names, but then you look at what's it, Futura, yeah, Futura, which is a font I'll tell you right, that's a font. It's also her name, but she's from the future. Why not call her Futura? Whatever. Okay. Yeah. The main bad guy, he's like the prime bad guy. And he's evil, so let's call him Prime Evil. Like, who thought of this stuff?
Right. Yeah.
Can we have
naming from the 80s? Yeah.
Yeah. Can we have 3 more seconds of thinking about a good name? And then you've got the good guy named Kong, and it's not even the gorilla.
No. And actually, this is Jake Kong Jr. and Eddie Spencer Jr. They're actually the sons of the characters in the TV show from 75, which was Jake Kong Sr. and Eddie Spencer Sr. They have kids, and they both have boys, and they both name them juniors. So, and in the cartoon, the 2 dads get kidnapped and the two juniors have to go through and become Ghostbusters and go rescue their dads.
That's all in the first episode, isn't it?
And then Tracy the gorilla is the same gorilla from the TV show, which doesn't age. He's still young, like
hasn't aged today. But I think that's how gorillas work. They don't really age.
Yeah, they don't.
They're like Ant-Man.
Yeah,
can't think of what his name is at the moment.
So these figures, they all have 5 points of articulation and are roughly the size of Silverhawk. The Silverhawk figures. Like I said, the Belfry and Battarat, they're smaller figures, so they actually came together in a 2-pack. They had, Jake Kong, Eddie Spencer, and Tracy all had backpacks that were attached by pegs. They were very fragile and prone to breakage, so it's hard to find a figure with a backpack that actually still snapped onto their back. A couple other accessories that came with these. Jake Kong also had a ghost dematerializer. I can't even say that. Dematerializer. There you go. I just said it. What's funny about in the cartoon is they use this dematerializer, and the ghost goes away, but only for a short time, and the ghost comes back. So it doesn't really work. Eddie Spencer has a Spectre snare, which is some kind of like a little rope thing, like you like a Wonder Woman lasso type thing. But if you're a ghost, you should be able to go right through it, but it doesn't. And then Tracy the gorilla has a ghost gummer gun, and it just squirts out some kind of ooze, kind of like a ooze or slime or something.
I think he got it from Nickelodeon.
Yeah, or some kind of gum stuff, and it holds. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, and they don't really work half the time in the cartoon series. So, the Futura figure, she had a headset that came with her. Primeval had a removable cape, and then, like I said, Belfry and Battarat, they came with a backpack that could be worn by Tracy or Fangster. So, let's see. There was the vehicles in the line. There was a Scare Scooter. It has a battery-operated sound features. Also, the Time Hopper, which was a thing that Futura would ride on, like a little hoverboard type thing. It also had a sound as well, battery-operated sound features on it. There was the Bone Troller, which is a paranormal piano and has a magic view screen with 5 ghostly visions. So it's got little things that kind of change on the front of it when the way you look at it, kind of like a hologram type thing. But it had a removable bone flyer and then a removable ghostly whistle. So I guess you blow the whistle while it's flying around. This is Primeval's main vehicle here. I thought I had a picture of the vehicles, but I don't. So there's also another big feature that was in the TV show and the cartoon series is Ghost Buggy. It's a highly detailed, looks like a 1920s or 1930s type car, kind of like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang type car.
Yeah, it's an old model something.
Yeah. It can do all the transformations like it does on the cartoon. So it can change into a plane, it can change into a boat, it can change into a submarine, and it's just an old car that goes down the road as well. So it kind of has a mind of its own, kind of like Speed Buggy, kind of like that.
Yeah.
So using the flip out features, and then they had some snap on parts. A big issue with this was it was also kind of fragile, so some of the clips and stuff would break. So you're just gonna have to to get a good piece, it's kind of hard to find. Most of them were fragile and they're easily broken. So But the wings would fold out from underneath it. The front would change where the face is on the front of the car. On the radiator part, it would change over to like a cone looking thing when it changes into an airplane. And the wheels would extend out and stuff. So it kind of transformed into different kind of vehicles, like I said, plane, boat, or submarine. So it was a pretty cool little piece to play with back then. Had different kind of things to do.
Did the wheels extend where it like looked like it was on stilts?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it would extend up like it was a lot taller.
Yeah.
So you could do that with the toy.
You can do that with the toy as well.
Okay,
yes.
I couldn't remember if that was part of it. I knew it transformed all the other stuff, but
everything it did in the cartoon series, the actual toy did as well.
Okay,
so they put a lot of thought into it.
It was pretty cool that they actually did that to where it matched what the cartoon was and how much all these match the cartoon.
All the figures look almost exactly like the characters on the cartoon. Yeah. So, also on this line, it tried to appeal to girls as well, because like I said, there's 12 figures and 25% of that were female figures. You had 3 of those with Futura, Jessica, and Mysteria. You had those 3, so it was a higher percentage than like Motu. You had
Tila.
You had Tila.
Evelyn.
No, Evelyn came later, but if
she
you
came
look
later.
That one series, Tila was in that first run.
She was in that first run. Okay.
That was it. G.I. Joe, you had Scarlet.
Yep, only one out of 15.
Star Wars line only had Princess Leia.
Yeah, they said Princess Leia. So
actually, the Star Wars line the first year didn't have anything except for a cardboard box, but then they got Princess Leia.
Yeah. You can go back to our episode 4 to listen to all that.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so this they did try to appeal more with the girls as well as boys. So the girl figures also, they had rooted hair, so that you could comb it and style it, whatever, like a real Barbie doll type thing. So the play set that came with this line, the Ghost Command play set, it was a huge play set.
Oh my gosh!
We talked about
huge.
The real Ghostbusters. They had the firehouse. This was actually a 3-story house, a house, and it was the same height as that as the firehouse for real Ghostbusters, but it opens up and it's got 2 sides. It's like twice as big as the real Ghostbusters firehouse.
So it's 22 5/8 by 34 1/8 inch.
Yeah.
If that's hard to know how big it is, we'll just break it down to this. So the figures themselves were 4 to 5 inches. They kind of ranged a little, 4 to 5 inches.
Yeah.
The main 2 guys, which are and Tracy, the gorilla, would ride inside of the ghost buggy. So they would fit inside of the buggy. The buggy has a garage in the house.
Yeah,
and it actually fits.
So it fits in the house. So if that tells you, okay, so you got 4 to 5 inches to start with, and then they fit into this car, and the car fits it. Yeah, this thing's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the like I said, it's large enough to fit the ghost buggy and the garage part, and it had all the characteristics that it had in the cartoon. Again, they were true to the cartoon series.
They were very true to the cartoon
whatever
series.
happened in the cartoon series, it happened in this toy line. And it also had a dollhouse type vibe for the girls. Again, going towards the girls in this line as well. It had 15 different accessories that came with it. It is a hard piece to find. I heard some sources say there was only 250 of them made. And then other sources say that it was only sold through catalogs. So it was it was a hard piece to find back then. And
so I saw the 250 number, and it was very hard for me to believe. And then I ran across that number about 4 other times. Mm-hmm. Now, were they referencing each other. I don't know. I don't know how many of these are made, but obviously there wasn't a lot made. And these are pretty cool. Okay, I have a list. I just want to read through this list. This is from the back of the box of all the things that this thing does. It says a revolving sign welcomes you to the Ghost Command. Press the doormat and the front door swings open. Dead letter file has a pop-up drawer. Ansabone is no ordinary telephone, so there's this part of the telephone that they have in the show. Every office needs a desk to keep things organized, so there's desks all over the place. Futura checks on the noise in the garage, so there's the whole garage, like that area. The hand tools are designed for abnormal repairs. Yeah. Shot clock is a knockout at telling time, so it actually has a clock in it.
It's got the
cuckoo clock.
Yeah, the cuckoo.
Where the skull comes out.
Haunted cuckoo clock.
Skelevision knows the scary station, so it's got the TV that they had. Belfry hangs out in his favorite spot. So up in the attic, there was an area where you put Belfry and hang him upside down.
His feet would fit in a little slot. Yeah.
Skelevator handles the ups and downs. So I was looking for that. Oh, there's the Skelevator in the middle of it. Sneak a peek at goblins and ghouls with the skelescope. So that runs out. It kind of looks like I don't know. It runs out the attic.
Yeah,
and you could actually look in it and see it. Go for a spin on the revolving bookcase. Have a seat in this. So they got the armchair, and then there's a trap door, obviously built into it also. So I mean,
and like I said, this thing's large enough where the figures actually would fit right through the front door.
Yeah,
all but one.
I mean, except for Tracy was a little wide.
I mean,
the rest of them they would fit right. I mean, the door. I mean, it's tall enough and it's 3 stories where you got your 5-inch figure can stand right in the doorway with the door wide open, and you know it's pretty tall. I mean, it's a big place.
The fact that they made it to where the door actually fits them, I don't even know if the Motu ones are done that way.
The one that released. The one that's behind me that released in the early 2000s fits the figures, but I don't know about the original.
Yeah, I think there is an issue with them.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
yeah. And there's also a little hook that Tracy can hang from, you know, because gorillas like to hang.
Oh yeah.
So
he was hanging. He was hanging, avoiding the trapdoor.
Yeah. So, but that's it's a pretty simple line. It's not. I don't think I've seen any figures in quite a while, so they're hard to find. Come by. Like I said, a lot of them made it over to Europe, and a lot of these little lines like this that don't do well here in the U.S. They find their way over in Europe and do well over there.
So here's what I don't understand. So Schaper obviously bought out by TYCO. And I can only assume that's because they weren't doing that great with the toys that we're making. I mean, Cootie's a fun game, but I mean, if that's all you're doing. Now, could this line have saved Schaper from being bought out by TYCO? If the cartoon was better, maybe. Because I look at this, and obviously, you've got the old TV show, the live action TV show that kind of gives you a little history or whatever. But this cartoon is horrible, and I much prefer the real Ghostbusters. But when I look at the toy lines, this toy line, even though it's smaller, beats out the real Ghostbusters for me.
There's more detail.
The detail is spot on.
Yeah.
The thing about the cartoon, and I saw this on one of the little YouTube videos I watched, the part where they turn from normal people and they get changed into their their Ghostbuster gear.
So the same thing with
the sequence.
The sequence of everything.
No, every cartoon has like that sequence, like Masters of the Universe.
I have the power.
When He-Man
this one?
Does by the power.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one. And he turns into He-Man. This cartoon, Ghostbusters cartoon, has the longest sequence of anything. It runs for like
it was almost 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes long, and the rest of them are a minute. And there's one that was like
Max.
a minute and a half,
Voltron.
but yeah, Voltron
Yeah,
was a little
Voltron
longer.
was the
Was
next
like the second
longest one.
longest, where they're turning into Voltron. The lions all come up to meet Voltron. But yeah, that was the only one, and it was still like 30 seconds shorter than
Right.
yeah.
this one. I mean, half the cartoon is just that sequence from them changing into their Ghostbusters garb.
Except for that
yeah.
one episode where it was blocked, and we found out that Tracy's hat could have done all that in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, he just
Right.
puts them in the hat and pulls them
Yeah.
out, and they're
Which I have to say, that's a pretty big hat if you can fit a guy in it and they can
Yeah.
change clothes.
Mhm.
It's very interesting.
Well, you
Yeah,
wonder how Tracy never ages.
Right. I mean,
so.
but these toys are far superior. The thing about the real Ghostbusters is they did that first line, that if you ghost or whatever, and then they just started making stuff up.
Mhm.
And then there's toys. I'm sure you guys saw this. There's toys that
We're never in.
were never. Well, there was toys that were never made, never in the cartoon, and then there's characters from the cartoon that were never made into toys. Whereas this one, we had one season of this show, and there were actually quite a few characters that would have been great toys that didn't get made.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 different characters from the cartoon that if they did a second line, they would have
been amazing.
A second release, they would have made these into figures. Yeah.
But the cartoon and the fact that they were fighting against the real Ghostbusters and the movie, like that's a lot to fight against. So you go into this, and I think that's why the detail on this, and then you've got this amazing car that does all the things that's in the cartoon. You've got the house that's got everything that's in there. The reason I think Schaper did such a good job at this is they were like, hey, we got a chance. We got one chance. Let's do this. And they kicked it out of the park, Yeah. I think this could have saved them if the cartoon was better, or maybe if not even if the cartoon was better, if they didn't have the other Ghostbusters whole side of it. If that wasn't happening, this could have been amazing.
If Columbia didn't have, if Columbia didn't do it with Kenner, and Filmation went ahead and did this line with Columbia's blessing, it would have been more of like the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have brought in that TV series line. That's the only reason why I did that is because Columbia did their own toy line with Kenner, and they said, well, we can't use the movie to make these toys. We're going to have to come up. We'll just go back to our past and use the TV show, and that's what they did. Yeah.
So I mean, I think this toy line it's pretty amazing. I like it.
I like the toy line.
The characters are cool. First off, the characters are pretty cool. They're original. They're really cool. The car, the ghost buggy, and the command center are the two that really push it over for me to make it freaking amazing. And now let's talk about where the command center is located in the cartoon. It is in New York City, supposedly between the Twin Towers.
Yeah,
right.
And it's this weird house.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like in the cartoon when you see it. It looks like it's standing right between the Twin Towers. And then, but it's like I said, it's an old house from the 30s or 40s, type thing.
Yeah.
So,
I have some information on prices if we're at that point. I don't know where we're at in your notes, Michael.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, let's talk. So I don't have original prices. I searched everywhere trying to find original prices. I was looking at boxes to see if I can find anything, and couldn't find it. But the figures now ran on eBay from anywhere. These are standalone figures, not carded, obviously. Run anywhere from $7 to $50, depending on who you're looking for, and what kind of shape that character's in. The cheapest carded figure that I can find was $145 and ran all the way up to about $300.
Yeah.
So very collectible. And like you said, hard to find a lot of these. And it's just amazing. The vehicles, I specifically was looking at the Ghost Buggy. I did see a few other vehicles that kind of fit in this, but these are specifically for the Ghost Buggy. I saw one that didn't have a lot of pieces left to it. Kind of looked like it was falling apart for $72.
Probably was because they
And
were very, very brittle.
there was a complete one that still had the box. The stickers were not attached. All the pieces were there sold for $677. So you're looking anywhere from $72 to $700, depending on what you're looking for. The playset. Anybody want to guess the playset range?
I'm gonna say
700 to 1,000
Yeah, I was gonna say about 800
on the cheap side.
The cheapest one I found was 500, and that
Okay.
was in not very good condition. Had been I want to say it was in great condition. Some kid had a lot of fun with it, and at his age, some kid has had a lot of fun with it in that age. The most expensive one that I could find, and this was complete box stickers never been applied. Looks like it's never been touched.
Wow, pretty good
14
box.
Yeah, it was a decent box. It had some wear to it. I mean, it's what 35 years old, 30, whatever, $1,400,
Wow,
and that's what it sold for.
wow.
So
And that's sold price.
it's sold price $1,400. I would love to have one of those, but I'm not paying those prices.
No.
No,
Just- This is one of those I would say is out of all the, so this is episode 61. Is that 61? I don't even know anymore. Yeah, it's 61.
Is it 60?
This
Yeah, it is
episode 61.
Sorry. 61.
So we've done 61 episodes about a lot of different toy lines, and this is probably in the top 5 on collectability for me because of the prices. People want these. There's not a lot to find them, and they will pay the prices for them.
Yeah.
So out of all the things that we've talked about, this would be up there.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. It's a great toy line, though.
Yeah, and the detail they put into them to make them look like the cartoon characters. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty cool line. I like it.
Let me see. What do we I know we got to rank these, but I got to figure out what else we got to talk about. We didn't have any. Did we have any? I don't remember.
I don't think we had any of these. No.
I can't remember these.
Look, shout out to mom and dad.
I do remember. What I do remember is coming home, turning on the TV, and one channel had the real Ghostbusters, and the other one had these guys, and it just depended on what channel it was on when I got home, which one I would watch. And I do remember watching a few episodes of this one. But I did like the real Ghostbusters cartoon better than this one. I just thought it was silly, and it was silly.
Yeah,
But being a kid thinking it was silly was
This
crazy.
is very Scooby Doo-ish.
Yeah,
like, but
and I'm a huge Scooby Doo fan. I mean, growing up watching Scooby Doo every day. But yeah, it was still kind of. I still enjoyed the real Ghostbusters over this one, the cartoon.
Well, when you say this is Scooby Doo-ish, though, this is like 2 levels more Scooby Doo-ish.
Yeah,
than
it's
any
over the
normal
top
Scooby-Doo. It's very
slapstick
over the top,
type comedy. Yeah.
And I was gonna say shout out to
like
mom
Three
and dad.
Stooges a little bit.
Right. So shout out to mom and dad. But why didn't y'all buy us one of these houses, one of these command centers? Come on. Like, I guess there's only 250. I'm sure none of them made their way to Tyler at all, ever.
Right.
All right, let's look at this. We need to look at our lists. I need to share it so that we can look at it, don't I? Because we have, if I can find it. There it is.
And if anybody listening had any of these, let us know. Let us know what your stories are with it. And
Yeah, I'd love to
what
see them
y'all's
too.
thoughts are.
I'd love to see some photos and see how they hold up. So I'm kind of looking at you, Larry. But I'd love to see how they held up and what you really thought of them, and what stories you had. Anybody has any? So, or remembers playing with them. So, all right, here's our list. Here's the top 10 for each of us. Where does this fit for you, Michael?
I'm gonna put it right at. I'm gonna put it at number 7. I think I really like this line, after going back and looking at it and everything, it's impressed me quite a bit, especially the buggy, the ghost buggy, and the stuff that it can do with the transformations and everything. I really like that. So I'm going to put it at number 7.
Number 7, John.
I'm the same way. I really like these. Looking at the buggy and stuff, it reminds me of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Kind of everything. And Speed Buggy, and I'm a big Speed Buggy fan.
Those two combined.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these are pretty cool. I think they're very highly collectible, like Andrew said. I'm going to put them at number 5.
Number 5. So we are pushing down Remco Movie Monsters, Monsters in My Pocket, Battle Beast for Michael. John's pushing down DC Power Collection. That one's rough. Cops and Crooks, Slot Cars, Monster in My Pocket, those kind of things. I'm putting it at number 4. Cops and Crooks, Battle Beast, Hot Wheels, Slot Cars. Me and John talked about the Hot Wheels earlier. I'm pushing all those down. This is going number 4. And I'm going to repeat exactly what you guys said. The buggy, the ghost buggy, and that command center knock this thing out of the park for this thing, especially when you're looking at a small toy line a small toy line made by a smaller company that got a chance, and they didn't second guess any of this. They just did it. They went for it. And it's
like I said, they weren't afraid of no ghosts. So
I'm really sad they got beat out, or they got bought out by TYCO, because TYCO, I mean, they've done a few things, but I don't remember seeing anything from TYCO that has this level of quality, detail to it.
TYCO is not known for their action figures.
No. So all right. Well, let's I gotta look back at my notes again. See where we're at. Don't yawn, John.
Long day, John.
A long day.
All right. So anything else we want to add about this toy line?
Comic books.
Oh, comic books. Let's talk about
the comic books. Let me say this real quick. There was a comic book that was published by First Comics. It was come out in 1987. It was based on the show. The cartoon show. It was to have 6 issues, but only 4 were published. So, like other failed toy lines we've talked about, they had a comic book series, and the series never got finished either. But the unpublished, along with the reprints of the 4 that were published, they were all published by Bastei Verlag. Yeah, Bastei Verlag in 1988 in Germany. It's a German company. So they actually did republish the first 4 along with the other 2 unpublished ones. And then in the UK, there was several issues that were reprinted in a hardcover annual called Filmation's Ghostbusters Annual 1987. This was printed by World Color Press was the name of the company that did those. So the original release of it was supposed to have 6 issues, and only 4 were published. So, but yeah. So,
and I think if they would have done a second line, they have so many other bad guys that they could have picked from the cartoons and stuff that would have been great action figures.
Oh yeah, this is just a bad show. And they had one season. Had the show been a little bit better, a little less slapsticky, maybe this would have gotten more lines. Maybe it would have saved Schaper from being bought out by TYCO. I'm sure they were probably already. I mean, if they were putting their names on these, they were already down the line for that. But this is a great toy line, and I'm glad that I wish we would have had some to play with. I'm glad that we got to see it. I'm not buying any for those prices, but
the toy line tagline was so much fun. It's spooky.
So much fun. It's spooky.
Yeah,
that sounds like straight from Scooby-Doo.
So much fun. It's spooky.
So. All right. Well, this we need to wrap it up a little bit. We need to talk about some shout outs and do some other stuff. So, John, can you run us through our socials one more time before we say goodbye to episode 61?
All right. So check our website out, toyrewindpodcast.com. And again, you can check us also out over on crossthestreammedia.com. Email us at toyrewindpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch is all Toy Rewind Pod. Facebook and YouTube is Toy Rewind Podcast. And then check out, if you haven't been during this episode, double check and go back and see if you can get a bingo on our podcast bingo card at podcastbingo.com/Toy Rewind.
Bingo.
Yep.
All right. Well, stay tuned to all those social medias for all the information we have on our collector showcases, like John mentioned. That's where we partner with. That's where we partner with Geek Together and do those. We have one that I'm trying to get it all set up as soon as we have it. I think everybody will be really excited about it, especially the kind of toys that we want to talk about. Mm-hmm. So be sure you follow us, follow Geek Together, and you'll know when we're going to do those. And again, just want to preface, we do those live. We do keep them on YouTube for you to watch, but we do those live. We do them live on Twitch. Also, like John said, check out over on Cross Streams Media where you can get all those links to those. We also just today dropped a few new shirts in our merch store. Not that we're trying to get you guys to buy merch, but if you want to support us a little, that's cool. We have some other stuff possibly coming that we may be talking about soon. But there is one shirt that I did. It's kind of a little spin on our logo. It just says Toy Rewind, and it's already distressed, and it's pretty cool. So if you want to check it out, you can get those over on Cross the Streams Media, or there's also a link on toyrewindpodcast.com. While you're there, check out our rankings. And like I said, we will be doing our brackets pretty soon. So once we go through 4 different sets of brackets, we will then put those 4 up together. Those will be like the final 4. So TMNT, probably the Nintendo Entertainment System, and who knows what the other 2 would be, but we'll put those all up against each other and see which one is like the king of all of them, basically. Yeah. That'll probably be close to when we're ending the podcast because we'll be so far into it at that point. We'll have run out of toys to talk about. While you're on the Cross the Streams Media website, be sure you check out some of our partner podcasts over there, like the Dorksman, the STS guys, Secondary Heroes, 3 Beers and a Mic, the Movie Gap podcast, Dan Aykroyd podcast, the Burt Reynolds and Charles Bronson podcast, Front Row Negative, The Art of the Boar, and Beering Ain't Easy. Lots of good content there. So, and we may be having a couple of those guys that are on those podcasts come join us for a few special episodes coming up in a few weeks. So you're going to want to know who they are. So go listen to their podcasts so that you can kind of get to know their personality when you come and listen to them on ours. So awesome. Please go to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and review. If you'll do that, me or John, one of us, I don't know which one, we'll send you a sticker, at least 1 sticker, possibly 2 stickers. Depends on how good your 5-star review is.
I don't have any stickers, so it won't come from me.
Yeah, Michael doesn't have any. We'll put Michael's name on it, so it'll like come from him, but it's not actually from him. You don't have all of them, John. You have half of them. I have half.
Well, I gave you the
right. So do that. If you do that, we will send you a sticker. We love sending those out. Or reach out to us in Instagram, Twitter, any of those. We'll send you a sticker so you can help support us, because your support is free to you, but priceless to us. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
No?
Something like
that. Right? It's Alex's. It's Alex's thing from Secondary Heroes. So yeah, help support us. It's all great, especially if you're still listening to us now. All right. Anything else we want to add before we sign off about what I'm going to call the real Ghostbusters?
The first Ghostbusters.
The first Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So.
No, nothing.
No. I think we covered it.
All right. Well, then that'll do it. Episode 61. We talked about Ghostbusters. The Filmation. Why did I say Funimation? The Filmation Ghostbusters from the mid 80s. So stick around. We'll be doing more of these episodes, having more fun. I think we've got a lot of good stuff coming for the rest of this year. We're trying to get 2022 set up, but I think we've got a lot coming. So hopefully,
we got some good stuff coming through.
yeah, hopefully your favorite toy lines are coming through. And if not, just send us a message. We'll be happy to kind of slot them in where we can and talk about those. So awesome. Well, then on behalf of the Brothers Newland here at the Toy Rewind podcast, play on.
You've been listening to the Toy Rewind podcast. Follow and join in the conversations at toyrewindpodcast.com.